I'd like to spend some time thinking about three very different kinds of responses we might have to the world. The first is a feeling of awe and wonder you may sometimes have felt looking around you. I get this looking at the night sky, when I can actually see the night sky in all its glory. Most of the time, light pollution makes that impossible. But if we were to travel to one of the driest places on Earth, the Atacama Desert in Chile, what is above our heads all the time here in Kettering would become visible to us. Most of these points of lights are sun, like our own sun. Our sun could fit the planet Earth inside it around 1 million times. But many of these pinpricks, these stars, are hundreds of times bigger than our sun. The very closest star to us is still so far away that its light, which every second travels 186,000 miles towards us, still takes over 4 years to reach us. Some of these points of light are not individual stars, but whole galaxies, containing hundreds of billions of stars, each one itself a sun. But together these hundreds of billions of stars appear to us as no more than a single point of light, because of the distances involved. The light from the furthest galaxy we've been able to detect takes 13.3 billion years to reach us. So for me, it's the stars which evoke wonder. And yet there is so much else in the natural world which is extraordinary, vivid, and spectacular. Whether it's the other animals with which we share the planet, the exotic ones, the amusing ones, the colourful ones, the ones we love, the ones we feel at home with, or the ones that feel strange and obscure. For some of us, one small consolation during these difficult times has been the sound of birdsong, filling the heart of our town with unfamiliar music. And for those of us within earshot of the old parish church tower, our days have been punctuated by the sound of these remarkable birds, the fastest members of the animal kingdom, capable of speeds up to 240 miles per hour, the peregrine falcon. The very existence of life on this planet is a wonder. Animal life, or plant life. Right at the other end of the scale from the galaxies, each of these plants, these animals, and we ourselves are made up of millions of smaller cells. 30 trillion cells in the case of humans, it's been estimated. And each of these cells is itself made up of a similar number of atoms. So life is extraordinary. And yet the rest of our world is also full of wonders, some of them distant and remote. and some of them familiar. Our whole planet is a thing of wonder. And for some people, the world holds a kind of beauty far more abstract than any of this. Here is Euler's identity, often thought of as the most beautiful equation in mathematics. E to the power of I times pi plus 1 equals 0. Or as I first heard of it, e to the power of I times pi equals minus 1. When I first saw this equation as a maths student, I simply thought, how can that possibly be true? All of this beauty inspires awe and wonder. And for many of us, these things point beyond themselves and lead us to see the whole of our lives as a gift and to ask, who is the giver? And this is one very distinctive kind of response to our world. There's a second, very different kind of response to our world, which is to ask questions about what it means to be truly human, to be fully human. The events of the past week have brought into sharp relief questions about what values we hold. Where do we look when we want to discover what it means to be human? Who do we admire? Who are our role models? The answers are probably different for each of us. We know that all our heroes have feet of clay, that one day they will let us down. Those who choose to follow Jesus do so because in this man, who lived in a very specific time and place 2,000 years ago in Palestine, they see someone who inspires trust and loyalty, someone who embodies what it means to be human, humanity at its very best. This is believed to be the oldest clear depiction of Jesus still in existence. It's from the wall of a Syrian church and shows Jesus healing a paralytic. It's believed to have been painted around the year 235. This second image from a catacomb is just a little later, possibly around the year 250, and depicts Jesus as the Good Shepherd. Down the centuries, the followers of Jesus have believed that something uniquely remarkable was present in him, so that his life had a significance far beyond the first century and way beyond Palestine, that he somehow embodied what life is all about. That if we have questions about what life means, questions about what we need to value in life, questions about how to behave, this is the man we need to look to. Somehow they believed that this man had a significance transcending the human, and showing us that our life has a significance far beyond what we can see and touch and hear. And this is a second, very different kind of response to the world. A third set of responses to the world is more difficult to depict, because they are not responses to something that can be pointed at. something out there, something in the world, or a moment in the past. Instead, they're about something felt or experienced in the present. Sometimes it is the sense of a presence. It can be a tingle down the spine, or a moment when time appears to stand still. The sudden silence which falls in a crowded room. It can be a moment of insight, when things suddenly become clear. A moment of healing. A half-opened door, inviting us to enter and to explore. It can be the experience of a group of people unexpectedly developing a passion for justice and creative ways of making a difference, and no one is quite sure how it happened. Moments when a group of people discover that together they can do far more than they had expected, when the sum is more than the parts, and the kind of magic seems to take over. Jesus spoke of these moments as being like a wind blowing through our lives. The wind which can't be pointed at, because it is itself nothing, nothing more than the movement of air, and yet we feel it and see its impact. Here are some trees in Cranford earlier this week, feeling the wind. Here is a third, again, very different response to the world. The Christian belief is that all three of these experiences of the world are experiences of God. And what is distinctive about Christian belief is that these three very different experiences, which in many religions would be seen as signs of three different gods, are seen as all having the same source. This is what the doctrine of the Trinity asserts. It is about the ultimate unity of our very diverse experiences of the divine. The doctrine of the Trinity says it's all the same stuff. It goes further and says this isn't just about our experience, but that our experience reflects something about the nature of God. That God is one, but God is also three. And of course this is a mystery, and yet it makes some sense of our own experience. We believe in God as creator, as redeemer, and as sustainer, as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Most of us Christians tend to be drawn to one aspect of the Trinity. Some of us are drawn to the majesty of the God who created us. Some of us are drawn by the man Jesus, want to follow in his footsteps. We want to be engaged in the world, to make a difference in the world. Some of us are spirit Christians. We love the closeness and the intimacy of the God who touches us now. Trinity Sunday is an invitation to each of us to broaden our vision beyond what is familiar and comfortable. Our God is too small. We believe in one God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.